I'm going to go out on a limb and say that for the majority of us, if there was a rapidly approaching projectile that was hurling right at us and we only had a couple milliseconds to react, we're not necessarily going to think about what our next move is going to be. We're simply just going to act to the best of our ability. And that's what Landen Roupp did in the bottom of the third inning tonight here on Wednesday evening at Petco Park. Bottom of the third inning, Roupp throws a 92-mile-an-hour single to Ramón Laureano. Laureano hits a comebacker right at him that clocks in 95.7 miles an hour. And no matter how good of a fielding position that you're in, rapidly approaching projectiles moving at you, it looks like it's going to hit some part of your body. The only thing that Roupp could really do in that moment is act. And the only thing that he could really do is try to get away from the ball. And that's exactly what he tried to do. He tried to dodge the ball. He didn't dodge the ball and actually hit him in his right hamstring. But that wasn't where the real damage was. The real damage was his feet weren't exactly on the most solid of ground, and he misstepped with his left foot, and his left knee kind of, I don't know if hyperextends is the right term for it, but it moves backwards. It awkwardly bends backwards in a way that it typically does not. And Roupp instantly collapses to the ground. He's instantly writhing in pain. And he tries to instantly, as he kind of rolls, instantly tries to get back up, but then he instantly collapses back to the ground. The Giants medical staff immediately goes out on the field to tend to him. The medical car comes out. He gets carted off the field. And that would be the definitive lowlight of the Giants' 8-1 loss here to the Padres on Wednesday night. And yes, the Giants did lose a baseball game. They allow, I think, 3 homers. I think 2 of them were courtesy of Gavin Sheets. Ryan O'Hearn had one as well. They're now 61-66, I believe, on the season. But the loss of the game, the homers that they allowed, that all comes secondary to the status of Roupp, which is now up in the air. He's been diagnosed with a left knee sprain. He's going to fly back to San Francisco. He's going to receive an MRI. And all the Giants can really hope for at this point is to hope for the best, to hope that he avoids this being any sort of long-term injury, or if it is an injury that's going to have him miss any significant amount of time, just hope that it's not something that's going to require a lengthy rehab. And when we talked to Willie Adames after the game, he said it kind of just feels like the Giants can't catch a break, which is, that type of language has been used a lot over the course of the last couple of weeks. Just things like this continue to happen. And if this is the way that Roupp's season ended, of course, would be a very unfortunate way for his season to end, given the success that he's had, given the fact that he's established himself as a quality major league starter, quality number 3 in this rotation behind All-Stars Logan Webb and Robbie Ray. Going back to spring training, obviously he was in competition for that 5th spot in the rotation with Hayden Birdsall and Kyle Harrison. Looked like Kyle Harrison, as the incumbent, was going to win the 5th spot in the rotation. We all know how that unfolded. Roupp ends up winning that 5th spot in the rotation and, again, establishes himself as, despite starting the season as the number 5 in that rotation, kind of establishes himself as that number 3 behind All-Stars Logan Webb and Robbie Ray. Going back to, I think it was June, going back to that series at Dodger Stadium. They're doing some leaf blowing, so some of the debris is falling on me. Going back to that series at Dodger Stadium, Roupp obviously had kind of a clunker. I can't remember the exact stats, but I think it was he recorded 4 outs and allowed 6 earned runs. But up until the time that he went on the injured list, I think it was over his next 5 or 6 starts, had like a 1.15 ERA, was pitching really well. Then following the 5 scoreless innings at Atlanta, goes on the injured list with the right elbow inflammation. Misses close to the minimum amount of time. This was actually his 2nd start back from the injured list, his 1st start back from the injured list against the Rays, obviously. The Giants weren't expecting him to provide a lot of length, but this was kind of his first opportunity to maybe go a little deeper in the ballgame since coming off the injured list, and then, as I mentioned, gets hit with the comebacker, lands awkwardly, and then has to depart the game. And it didn't exactly turn this into a bullpen game, but the Giants had to use some relievers a lot earlier than expected. Joey Lucchesi enters the game, and given the fact that there was an injury, he did get an extended amount of time to warm up before finishing off the bottom of the 3rd inning. Tristan Beck enters and really saves the bullpen by throwing 4 innings of relief. I think he allows just the 1 run, and then Jose Butto finishes it off with an inning in the 8th. And then as far as the Giants offense, the only run that they were able to score today comes courtesy of Casey Schmidt, the local kid, with a solo homer. So now as far as Roupp's spot in the rotation, they do have a couple avenues that they can pursue, some of them being with AAA Sacramento. Now, some of you might be thinking the most obvious choice to replace Roupp in the rotation might be Blade Tidwell, which up until today I thought so as well. He had been pitching really well since joining the Giants organization, part of the deal that sent Tyler Rogers to the New York Mets. The Giants acquire Tidwell, Buto, as well as outfielder Drew Gilbert. And in his first 3 starts with AAA Sacramento, has a 1.69 ERA, 24 strikeouts over 16 innings. But manager Bob Melvin told us prior to today's game that Tidwell is dealing with, or he experienced some shoulder discomfort during one of his most recent bullpens, and he's going to get an MRI tomorrow. It's kind of unclear what the severity of that injury is going to be, but as far as replacing Roupp in the short term, it just looks like he's not going to be a viable option. So that leaves guys like Carson Whisenhunt, Hayden Birdsong. Hayden Birdsong just had an outing today. It was his 5th outing with AAA Sacramento since being optioned by the Giants in late July. And what is exactly a great outing? Allows 4 runs over 3 innings, 3 of those runs being earned. But the most concerning part of that outing was the fact that he walked 5 batters to 4 strikeouts. And again, with Birdsong in particular, the walks were going to be the biggest thing for him to monitor. And if he's walking 5 batters, I don't think that bodes well for his chances to replace Roupp in the starting rotation. Carson Whisenhunt makes the 3 starts with the Giants before being optioned back to AAA Sacramento. I think he had a 5.02 ERA over the course of those 3 starts. He's only made 1 start with AAA Sacramento since returning. I think he went 5 2/3 innings. I want to say 2 runs, 6 strikeouts, 4 walks. Trevor McDonald on the season has a 5.25 ERA over 25 games. 20 of those have been starts, but has pitched fairly well over the course of his last 3 starts. 3 ERA even. I think that's 6 earned runs over 18 innings. I want to say 23 strikeouts, a fair amount of strikeouts over those 3 starts, but it is worth noting that over those 3 starts, he's allowed 5 homers. And then there's also Carson Seymour, who's pitched. He's been a starter for the majority of his, not even the majority, he's been a starter for his entirety of his professional career, but has exclusively pitched as a reliever this season with the Giants. So the Giants have a couple options that they're going to have to pursue as far as replacing Roupp. They do have some time, given that Roupp's spot in the rotation wouldn't come up until the Giants play the Chicago Cubs back at home, but it will be something that they have to determine going forward.